Superman doesn't get very many good adaptations, and this series makes you wonder why. It really shows how to make Superman work as a character. The series makes him out to be a great lead, has a good supporting cast, great rogues gallery, it's bright, colorful, has an epic feel, a lot of big fun adventures. I really love it. It has a lot of fun episodes, like the Flash episode, the Lobo two-parter, and especially the episodes featuring Mr. Mxyzptlk, which are absolutely hilarious and very clever. This show never got the same amount of love as Batman the Animated Series, but it should have. Batman and Superman are different characters, and this one really made Superman work. Number 6. I was shocked when I saw the first episode of this series, because I really didn't expect anything out of it. The characterizations were perfect, and the plots merged old and new storylines from the comics beautifully. The creative thing this series did was create micro-episodes, which shows all the characters before they became Avengers. This takes the burden of backstory away from the show, and makes the series feel more like a comic book, where the characters already have pre-existing histories. This show is similar to Wolverine and the X-Men, where there are so many characters from the comics, but here they feel very accessible. There are a lot of great dynamics among the Avengers, who are always in conflict, which is the way it should be. Cap doesn't get along with Iron Man doesn't get along with Thor, Hulk and Hawkeye don't get along with anybody. The Wasp is used really well as someone who finds superheroics to be new and exciting, and Giant Man juxtaposes her beautifully as a pacifist who is uncomfortable with it all. Pym tries to focus on rehabilitating supervillains while everyone else just wants to fight them. That is a great way to portray a difficult, complex character. Black Panther is really dull and feels out of place, but the character moves terrifically in animation. There are some fascinating themes and ideas brought up by the Kane and Ultron episodes, and I'm really glad that we're on Season 2 now. Number 5. While Spidey the Animated Series is the one everyone loves and remembers, this could have grown to surpass it as the definitive Spider-Man cartoon if it had aired on a more popular network and survived past 2 seasons. But those 2 seasons are absolutely perfect. At first I was turned off by the designs, but giving them a second look, I don't know why. They work really well in a cartoony style, and a lot of the cartoon's visuals are taken from the Steve Ditko era. The thing this series has going for it is its supporting cast. It has everybody. Randy Robertson, Con McFarlane, Hobie Brown, and it's surprisingly the first series to show George Stacy. The best thing about Spider-Man's rogues gallery is that most of them play a role in Peter's personal life. However, instead of just introducing the villain's alter egos before they become the villain of the week, they all exist as supporting characters. Curt Connors, Eddie Brock, Norman Osborn, and Max Dillon never seem like they were brought on the show to become bad guys. They are treated like supporting characters that Peter has relationships with. There are so many characters and villains, but it never feels like overkill or nods to fans. The expansive cast list makes Peter's world feel so real. I also like how Spider-Man is pretty much the only hero in the cartoon. Instead of several guest stars from other franchises, it's pretty much just Spidey on his own. The series finale surprised even the biggest Spider fan with its twists and turns. I really hope that the new Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon is great, but I would be surprised if it's any better than this one. Number 4. I know this series is supposed to be default number 1, but where's the fun in that? To be honest, while I've seen all of the movies and a lot of the episodes, there's still a lot of the series I haven't seen, and I won't be able to argue for it as passionately as some others. But it still beat out a lot of great shows for this slot, because it's hard to argue with the quality and influence of it. This show created a whole universe, launching Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Justice League, and several movies. I don't know what I can say about this show that hasn't already been said better by others. Kevin Conroy makes the best Batman, Mark Hamill makes a great Joker, and all of the characters and stories are enthralling. It looks beautiful and unique. It's undeniably an amazing show. So let's leave it at that. If you want to hear more praise for it, you shouldn't have to search very far. Number 3. Like I said earlier, I didn't grow up with the 80s Turtles. Instead, I grew up with this show. And while I know a lot of people who like the old version have never given this one a chance, it's superior. The characterization is extremely strong, and the characters are always growing. The main characters interact frequently with one another, and they all have well-established relationships. Even Splinter and Casey Jones's dynamic is shown well from time to time. The stories all tie together beautifully, and the action is thrilling. The Shredder keeps dying and coming back, but the stakes keep raising and the suspense is never lost. The reveal about his origins is shocking and surprising. Karai, the Triceratons, Baxter Stockman all make great villains, and even though he's only in one episode, the Rat King is absolutely awesome on this show. Hun and Agent Bishop are two characters created for the series, and they're two of the show's best characters. There are a lot of memorable moments. My favorite episode is the one where Donatello mutates into a mindless creature, and his family's deeply affected and desperately tries to get their brother back. The series seriously jumps the shark with the Ninja Tribunal, Fast Forward, and Back to the Sewers, but those first 4 seasons are absolutely perfect. I can rewatch them anytime, and they remain the best things 4Kids has ever produced. No, these aren't heroes in a half-shell, but they are fully realized, well-designed characters that are true to their creator's vision. If you have never given this show a chance, I implore you to try it out. It's one of my favorites. Number 2. I really love this series because it isn't just about being different. It's about growing up being different. The X-Men work as teenagers because their powers are developing as they're developing. They're learning how their powers work as they're learning how the world works. The theme of the X-Men has always been being different and isolated. And who feels more different and isolated than teenagers? I like how this series builds up to humans learning about mutants. The X-Men live side by side with humans, and then their world falls apart. It's great to see the world react to the discovery of mutants, and figure out how to live together, or if living together is even a possibility. The stakes get really high in this series, and there are some very tightly plotted storylines. The end of Season 2 is still astonishing to me, and holds up as one of the best storylines in superhero animation. Cyclops and Jean are difficult characters to make work, but this series portrays them better than most of the comics. They build up to a relationship and struggle to get there, instead of just existing as a de facto couple. There's also no love triangle with Wolverine, which I've never understood. Cyclops is so great in this show. It's nice to see vulnerability and humor in a character that's too often portrayed as lifeless. There's so many things about this series I could continue to gush about, and that alone should be enough of a recommendation if you've never seen it. And the number 1 greatest superhero cartoon is... This is the culmination of Batman the Animated Series, Superman, Batman Beyond, and even Static Shock. Having such a rich history makes this feel a lot more like a comic book than a regular cartoon. But you don't have to have seen all of those shows to appreciate Justice League. In fact, Justice League served as my introduction to the rest of the DCAU. The animation is beautiful, of course. DC Animated Universe features some of the best designs in television history. The characters are all great. The original 7 members all have storylines, histories, and unique dynamics. When the show expanded to Justice League Unlimited, we got even more great characters. Especially the Question. How awesome was the Question on this show? There are so many great episodes. Wild Cards, Hereafter, Clash, Epilogue, but my favorite is A Better World. That's the two-parter where the Justice League of an alternate universe create a totalitarian government, and they interact with our Justice League. I love those episodes more than any issue of a comic book, most any movie, or any other episode of a TV show. They're that good. This series is a proper continuation and conclusion to 14 years of the best superhero adaptations, but it still holds up as its own entity. For my money, Justice League is the best comic book superhero cartoon ever made.